Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for coming today. I really appreciate you devoting some of your time to learn something new today. So, very briefly, we will learn how to build impactful websites, but faster, right? And an impactful website is effectively a website that converts traffic into paying customers or helps you achieve any goal that you desire, anything. So an impactful website is accessible, it's quick, it's engaging, it's inspiring to take action, and it works for your business and it works for end users. And faster, well, right now it really takes a long time, and we think it's unnecessary. We think we can make websites faster, so why not? And very quickly, this is me. My name is Tomasz Lisiecki. I'm a founder of NerdCow. I've spent most of my life in web development and web design, and you can probably tell by following me on social media and all sorts of content that I publish on a regular basis that I'm passionate about websites, and this is what led me here, and I think the process that we've come up with is really great, and it will make people at least think about delivering better websites faster. And if it's not, if the process itself is not perfect, it's at least a step in the right direction. So without further ado, I'd like to take you through it. So just to make sure I don't waste your time, who is this for? First of all, it's for business owners, for marketers that have experience, some sort of experience in building a website with another design agency or a freelancer. But what they very quickly learned is it takes forever, or at least there's a lot of this feedback loop, right? There is a lot of back and forth in communication, and it just prolongs everything. So that is for you, definitely. Now, if you are tired of being in that constant tug of war between you and the agency team, or again a freelancer, you send them a request and they come back with you, look, this is out of scope, and then you argue against it, and then they argue against it, and it just goes on and it never ends. So this is again a one for you. If your business is a dynamic and growing environment, well, I can't imagine any business that this doesn't apply to. Naturally, every business is very dynamic. It needs to adapt, especially in the COVID times. So this will apply to every one of you here. If you're tight on time, and that we know is very common, especially in the marketing departments, where campaigns, ideas, and all of that, it just happens from day to day, right? It just on daily basis, you might have this great idea about a landing page, about a marketing campaign, whether paid or organic, it doesn't matter, and you just need something out very quickly, and not just to have something out, but also have it to work for you, right? Just to bring that result, to bring that return on investment. And if your business heavily relies on the performance of your website's ability to sell or generate leads, so that will be definitely any businesses that, I don't know, that use website to keep their sales pipeline full. So any SaaS businesses, apps, any businesses that schedule demos online or sell, or at least encourage people to sign up for trials of their product. It will be e-commerce businesses. So naturally, that will be for you, because if you want to achieve those goals, you need your website to be impactful. Well, and finally, if you can't be bothered to do the dishes just yet, we all know there's no hiding from it. We all work from home, so obviously there are things to do and there are interruptions, and I'm very glad that you found 30-45 minutes of your time today to spend with me to learn something new instead of doing, chores at home. So thank you so much again for coming. Here is a summary what we will learn today. And I will explain the traditional approach to website design, to website building, and what is wrong with it. I will tell you all about the new approach, which consists of design sprints and development sprints. And I will also explain what development sprints actually are, because it might not, some of you might know them as Scrum sprints. We just call them development sprints, so it's easy, more sort of plain English, you know. You can at least start imagining what a development sprint is if I use that terminology rather than if I used Scrum, right? So especially marketing people and business owners, they might not be so tech savvy. So this is just one for them, just to make it easy. Okay, so here it is. This is the piece, right? The waterfall method, a beautiful traditional website build approach. So if you approach any web design agency at this point, they will take you through that process. This is pretty much guaranteed. And if you can tell from the image, it is effectively a collection of subsequent steps which take you from point A to B. And it all starts with your call to the agency, right? You tell them your requirements, or you can send them, an email with a brief, provide any sort of backbone of your requirements. And they take it in, they probably sit down with their team, maybe they will involve you or not, and they will discuss it, and they will draft up a proposal, right? And in that proposal, you will have a high-level sort of overview of where they want to, the direction they want to take you to, and that's it, right? And whether you like it or not, it's pretty much it. You will have a fixed price, right? That they expect you to pay, and they will have some sort of deadline in place, and probably a very technical scope, but very, very brief. Like they would never go into actual, development details. They would just tell you, look, you will have this many pages, you will have some sort of newsletter integrated with MailChimp, right? But how and when and what have you, they will never mention. They'll just be very brief, because otherwise they would have to spend forever preparing that proposal for you. So let's say you are happy, and they estimated a modest 2 months of your time to have that website delivered to you. Now, it moves on to the design phase, right? During that phase, they get their designer to prepare some visuals for homepage, about us page, blog page, and other pages. If it's e-commerce, then obviously it'd be more like checkout page, cart page, etc. And once this is all done, once this is all what they like to call it pixel perfect, right? They send it over to you for approval. That's where the feedback phase comes in. You tell them what's wrong. You may like it or not. You tell them what's wrong, what to fix. They will fix it. Then you move on to development. Same thing happens. They code it. They send it over to you for approval. You test it. You may pick up on a few things and send them back to them. And then they move on to testing, and then they finally launch it. So in the waterfall method, one thing can't happen without another. So you have to go through the design and approve it to go to development. You have to approve it to go to testing, etc. There's no going back. So you can't move backwards in the process, right? And what I described right now, it is this is in the ideal world. It never looks like this. Trust me. I've been there. We've been there. It's highly likely that you've been there, having some experience with web design agencies. So let me show you how it actually looks like, right? There you go. Are you ready? There we go. Okay, take a second to, to let that sink a bit. Okay, so the waterfall method very quickly just becomes get it over with method, and it is because it's very annoying and very frustrating approach to building websites. In fact, if I tell you any other sort of software engineering houses or companies, they never use waterfall methods. It just very clunky and it just doesn't work. It's because software is infinite. You can improve it infinitely, and the scope changes all the time, while the waterfall method, it's very fixed. So as you probably noticed, right, so the price is fixed, the scope is fixed, the deadline is fixed, people involved in the project are fixed. Everything is so fixed, and it doesn't work for any software for any kind of software engineering. It just doesn't work, and that's why you end up with the thing you see on your screen right now. The design takes longer than expected. Development takes longer than expected. You miss deadlines. I don't know if you notice, you probably miss out on testing because there's no time. You need to squeeze more and more feedback on before the launch that is already delayed. Everyone is annoyed, and there's just this pressure building up on your shoulders, everyone's shoulders, actually, not only the agency's shoulders and the poor developer that's behind it, but also the clients, the marketer that's overseeing the project. They also have to notify their supervisor, the business owner, and whoever else there is. So it's very, very unpleasant, and the estimated 2 months very quickly becomes 4-6 months. And by the time we launch a website, we are just very happy it's over. And I personally don't think this is the way it should be. I mean, building websites should be fun, and should be really quick and efficient for everyone. So there's a question that really started all of this. Why should a project take 6 months if it can take 6 weeks? And the ratio is not necessarily 1-to-1. I really believe we can even change that sentence to six months if it can take 4 weeks. And let me show you how we do it. So this is the new approach: agile, efficient, impactful. And as I mentioned in the beginning, businesses really need to adapt. Businesses are flexible creatures, and I think all the processes that are part of a business, and any processes that a business signs up for, they also should remain agile, flexible, adaptable. And as you know, building a website really consists of 2 parts. There is design phase, right, or visualization, and you have the development part. We like to call them differently. We call them, the design part we call prototyping, and the coding part we call production. And I will use these 2 words to further in the presentation to make my case about all of this, right? So as you can see, this is a high-level overview. Prototyping is really divided into 2-3 weeks. First week is a warm-up, which some people would call I guess a research week, where we learn about your company, and this is not necessarily a research week, but this is the closest I can get without going into detail, which I will do in a second, but just for the sake of this slide I won't. And then you have design sprint, which is really at the core of everything that we do. So that design sprint is a masterpiece, and you will love it. And then we have the iteration sprint, which is optional, but it is highly recommended. I can't emphasize it enough. The iteration sprint is really where you get the value for your money. Then you have the bridge, which takes 1 day, and it is, in other words, it's a transition from the prototype to production, and then production itself is literally a collection of development sprints. And if by now you don't know what a sprint is a week or 2 weeks of work, which is set to deliver a certain collection of features or some sort of value, right? It's a time boxed exercise, and we do them in NerdCow. We do them on a weekly basis. Some companies might do it on 2-week basis or 3-week basis, whatever helps, but we do it on a weekly basis. Moving forward, we start with the prototyping. So that's really the beginning. If you approach us today, you tell us you want a website from us, that's what we'll do. We start with warm-up week. Okay, so as I mentioned, this is really a research week, which is mixed with many exercises, interviews, and there's a lot of legwork that we do behind the scenes in order to kick off the next week, which is the design sprint. So here you would get a survey from us. We would talk to a decider on the project. We would talk to every member on your team that will be involved in the process, and then we, with ourselves behind the closed doors, we would really prepare everything for the upcoming weeks. Now the design sprint takes time on the second week, and this is really this is beautiful. I love it. And the reason why I love it is because by the end we're done with the design sprint, we have high fidelity website prototype that has already been tested with real users. Okay, real users test our prototype and tell us what's wrong, what's good, what they would change, and if they would buy from you had they seen this website online. And this is invaluable. This is absolutely the best thing about all of it. So the design sprint is effectively 4-day intensive workshop, which partially involves you and the team. And it just a collection of various exercises where we ideate, validate, and build a prototype, as I mentioned, so that we can use it moving forward into the production. Now, iteration sprint is basically sort of you can call it an improvement week. So from the design sprint, we have this high fidelity prototype with the feedback from real users. In the iteration sprint, we take that feedback and apply it further to the prototype, and then we retest it again. So that's really where we get into nitty-gritty of the prototype to make it really as good as possible, as close to the live version as possible. And we end the iteration sprint with what we call the bridge. And the bridge is just our own naming convention. What it really is a transition. It's a handover day where we give the prototype to the production team so they can start building your website. Remember, the prototype itself is just an interactive folder of static images that the user testers can interact with. This is not your website. This is just literally a few static images. So we need to make that we have to transform that into the code, and that's where the development sprints come into the picture. But before we can do that, the bridge needs to happen. The bridge is a transition, and I will show you how it works. It's very important. It's very simple, and I'm sure you like it. So the bridge. There you go. Outside of NerdCow, they would call it user story mapping. And this exercise, it really helps us understand what user does on a website and why is he doing it, and how we can make sure that activity can be completed with a selection of features. So as you can see, the arrow user journey happens from left to right, And goals are user goals, right? So a goal can be sign up to a newsletter. A goal can be contact your company. Anything you like. It depends on the website build. Goals will be different. Obviously, e-commerce website would have a goal of the buy a product, right? And so forth. So you can imagine goal is something that user has come to your website to do, and then we have to make sure they can do it. So activity are literally steps to achieving that goal. So for signing up to a newsletter, activity would be to enter their email address, and then the next activity would be to confirm their email address, and so forth. So anything that needs to happen from the beginning to the end to mark a goal as done. Then we break activities further down into features. And features are bits and pieces that come together to make that activity possible. So for example, signing up to a newsletter, the activity would be enter the email address. So the feature for that would be to have a form, to have some sort of validation, to have some sort of confirmation, and together those three things would make the signing up to the newsletter possible. So we basically break it down as we go further down. When we have all of those features, all of those activities mapped out, we add another dimension to it, and that's called priority. And that's priority for your business and for the user, and it's very important because it helps us create a roadmap for website development. So you may think that maybe newsletter is a too simple example to break it down like that, but you may think that some parts of functionality, some features are not as important as others at this point, right? So let's use the newsletter analogy again. Let's say you want people to sign up to the newsletter. So obviously they need a form. This is vital, right? They can't sign up without entering their email address. So that needs to happen. But for example, the email confirmation is not as vital as it's the first thing. For example, we could just display an inline message, thank you for signing up, thanks, you are signed up. But the email confirmation, it would be, yeah, it would be great to have it, but it's not important. It's not something that blocks us from going live. So it would move down on the priority ladder. Okay, so that way we shuffle things around again within their respective columns, right? We don't want to, obviously every feature is assigned to a certain activity, so we don't want to mess that up. We just keep them, we shuffle them on the y-axis, on the priority axis, to have them ordered by priority. And having all that done, now the thing is very simple. We group them into releases. Do you see what I've done? Literally, I just drew a rectangle around them. I grouped the features together into releases, and that is how we would deliver your website. So this website, obviously, this is like there's no tangible information in here, but imagine this project would be delivered in 3 releases. However, the first release is so-called minimum viable product. So that is a collection of features that must be delivered before we can consider website done, or before we can actually push the website live. Okay, so we take that. So this is pretty much it. This is the roadmap that we have right now. This is what you know. It will take 3 releases to deliver every single feature from the prototype. And right now, all we have to do is take the first release and break it down further into actually development tasks. So now we move into production. Again, the development is delivered in sprints, 1-2 weeks each, and it looks like this. So the release 1 that we've just agreed upon in the previous slide, now every single feature becomes a collection of tasks for a developer, for a designer, for a copywriter, anyone that needs to contribute to make that feature happen. So holding on to that newsletter analogy, let's say a feature is a form, right? A sign up form. The designer would take care of the looks of the form. The copywriter would take care of the text around it, of the error messages, and the developer would take care of actually putting it all together, making it interactive, and implementing that, for example, MailChimp integration should you need to have it. So every single feature would be broken down into tasks, and those tasks will obviously take a specified amount of time to code, to build, to deliver, and we just deliver them in weekly iterations. We work for as long as we need to deliver all of them, to deliver the release number 1 to your doorstep. So that's pretty much it. So you can see the entire process is all about mapping things out, prioritizing them, and breaking them down into smaller tasks. And the advantage of this is we have a very, very clear direction of where we're going with the project, where we are in the project, and we can very easily adapt to whatever's happening in your business. So for example, let's say the very first feature on the left hand side is something you don't need anymore because I don't know, for example, you need to shuffle the budget a bit, or someone approached you with a better idea for a feature. We just simply take it out and we swap it for a new feature that you like. Or down the line, we can completely change things. We always welcome change. There's no back and forth with us. There's no back and forth with this process, and therefore it makes it a very pleasant experience to build a website. And that is what is missing in the waterfall approach, which is just manic, okay? So finally, just things to remember, really. In just 1 week time, that is the design sprint, you will have a high fidelity website prototype that has been tested with real users. And what's important here to know is if, for example, the prototype fails the test, let's say the testers just rip it apart, they hate it, at least you know that the idea about the product, about the business is wrong. And there's no need to go into development. There's no need to spend money on building something if it is going to fail anyway. So the design sprint, apart from being very rapid, very quick and efficient, it also validates the idea of what you are trying to build early on, right? At early stages of a project, helping you save money. Well, we never had this situation, but in case it is there, that's sort of doorstop, right? Now the process focuses on delivering the most valuable website features first. So that's when I mentioned the minimum viable product. We deliver the release number 1 first, and then we build on top of it. We iterate, we add things as we go along, while your business is already benefiting from the minimum viable product, minimum version of a website that is live, launched, and people get to use it actually without wasting anyone's time, money. You can start marketing it, you can start benefiting from it. You pay a flat fee for each iteration. That is great. You literally buy an agency in weekly iterations, and you buy as many of them as you need, as you want, as you like. It's easy to control your budget, it's easy to plan the development, and it's just simple. It's just easy on paperwork. I can't see any downside of it. And as I mentioned, the process welcomes the change. It's all about building, iterating, releasing your new website quickly. We really, really prefer collaboration over documentation. We love chatting. We love making decisions together. We like to adapt and make everything easy to change, to apply. So that's really great, and you will really appreciate it. If you ever had experience with any other web agency, you will know this is great. The process cuts out the endless back and forth communication and risks of delays. This is mainly because of the way the design sprint is. And during the design sprint, there's plenty of exercises where we vote on things which we like. There's no really how to say, there's no meek tweaking, right? There's no dabbling in little things. There's no worrying about what color the button should be. It's all very straightforward. It's all about moving forward, never staying in the same place for too long. So it's really that simple. It's smooth, and it helps everyone to get on with their day and get the most out of the process very quickly. So finally, it's a win-win situation where we're really, so imagine you've built a website which has been tested with real users, the actual clients of yours, or people at least who have a potential to be your clients. They told you what they like, what they don't like. We fixed it. The website is out there. It's exactly how the user would have imagined it. And so for them, it's a pleasant experience. There's no friction. Digital psychology kicks in, and they feel inspired to take action. They really like your brand, and it's just a ripple effect of all positive feelings they have about it. And as a result, your company really just grows because people contact you, people schedule demos with you, people buy from you, and it's just fantastic for everyone. And as a result, we can really make the web a better place for everyone starting now. And I think this is all that it comes down to. So your investment is as good as it can be while making the end users happy, and therefore having happy customers for your business. I thank you very much for your participation today. I hope you've learned something new. If any question comes to your mind later on, you can find me on social media. I'm very active on LinkedIn, on Instagram, or you have our email in front of you right now. Just drop me a line. I'll be very happy to reply. And for now, thank you very much, and I wish you a very good week ahead. Let's stay in touch. Thanks.